I read your comments, and today I'm going to comment on your comments because some of you are just dead wrong. Hi, this is Randy Kirk. And if this content today is valuable to you and helps you to better understand what happened on Investor Day, then please all the stuff you're supposed to do. And I got the first individual to join up under the new news program. If you're interested in that one, those are $50 to $100, depending on what you want to invest. And we are looking forward to putting together enough folks that we can make that a reality. So go to Patreon and look into the possibility of becoming a plaid member of my Patreon, which will help to create a news venue that will provide you with the most up-to-date and accurate news every single day, multiple times a day, that you can find on the internet, specifically with regard to Tesla and everything Elon Musk. Okay, let's dig into my 11 comments today that I hope that you can prove me wrong on, but I don't think you can. Well, actually, I hope that you won't be able to, but let's talk about them. So here's the problem. I'm getting comments. I'm seeing comments on Twitter. I'm seeing comments in the YouTube videos that I produced this week. I'm seeing comments on other people's YouTube videos. And there's this thread. And the thread is, the meeting was boring on Wednesday. The meeting didn't teach me anything new. I didn't learn a darn thing. I didn't learn anything new at all from Wednesday. They should have done it in about 10 minutes and everybody would have been happier. Gosh, they didn't show us a new toy. So we were disappointed that we didn't get to see an actual new physical vehicle, which, by the way, you know what happens with those new physical vehicles when they show them to you 2 years in advance? They commonly don't look anything like that at the end. Anyway, you know that, and I know that. Okay, so I am going to challenge you. This is the challenge. I'm going to go down the list now of 11 things that I believe were breakthrough news of monumental, earth-shaking levels that, standing by themselves on any given day, would have been absolute headlines around the world, and that these are not just regular old headlines. These are once in a generation headlines. Okay. And prove me wrong. Go ahead. I read your comments, and you know that I respond to your comments. So I'm looking for you to say, nope, I knew that, Randy, before that meeting ever took place. So I was just bored. So here we go. Number one, Tesla has enough raw materials, refining, and factory plans to reach 20 million vehicles per year and 1 terawatt of energy storage. That is approximately $1.2 trillion in sales in 2030. And of course, 1.2 trillion times, let's even say 20%. So $240 billion in profits. And you knew this before the meeting. You knew that it was all in place. Now, I bragged the other day, and I'll brag again. You can go back and check me on my videos. And months ago, I said, I think Tesla has figured it out. I think they know where they're going to get the raw materials. I called Jordan at Limiting Factor and emailed him, and I said, hey, Jordan, it looks to me like they figured it out. And he wrote back and said, look, there's no way that I can confirm, or I just don't know. So there's what I consider to be the number one expert. He was not willing to commit at that time. So did you know on Tuesday night before you went to bed, are you telling me that you knew that Elon Musk and Tesla they were absolutely certain, they had clarity with regard to raw materials, refining, and manufacturing facilities in place to do 20 million vehicles? Well, then you would be way ahead. Of course, most of us are way ahead of CNBC and all the rest of the mainstream press out there. We're way ahead of them anyway. But most of them don't think that Tesla can even get to 10 million vehicles by 2030. Some of them would think it would be a miracle if they got to 6 million vehicles. Well, hey, believe me, I'd be thrilled if they got to 6 million vehicles by 2030. That would make them the largest in profit by far of any automotive company. And then they would have equal or greater profits from energy storage and equal or greater profits from Optimus, and on and on and on and on. So that would be fine with me, but I think they've got the 20 million locked. And that was part of what they were telling us on Wednesday. It's a lock. You can take it to the bank. They're going to manufacture 20 million cars or more in 2030, cars, trucks, etc. in 2030. Some of those might be robo-taxis, 20 million of them, and they have everything that they need lined up to make that happen. Now, that's news. That's huge. And you tell me, come on, please, in the comments. That isn't huge news? You knew about it ahead of time? Okay. Number two, Tesla will make a car in approximately 2 years that will use half, maybe only 40%, 40% less, but let's call it half of the factory space. It will be at half the cost, and it will be manufactured at twice the speed of their most efficient vehicle today, which would be, I guess, the Model Y in Austin or in Berlin. I'm not sure which. You knew this. They showed us every single detail of how this will happen. Yes, I think I knew, you knew, a lot of people knew they were aspirationally shooting for this. But there's a lot of difference between saying aspirationally, this is what we're going to try to do in 2 years, and then showing you piece by piece, part of the car by part of the car, factory process and procedure by factory process and procedure, methodology by methodology. This is how we're going to get there. We already have the engineering to do it. That is news. Can you imagine General Motors producing a video tomorrow saying that they could do the same thing? Can you imagine that? Come on, try now. General Motors comes out and says, yeah, in 2 years, we're going to have a car that will be just as good as our, pick a car, our Ford, let's say Ford, their Lightning. Well, it's costing us this much to make a Lightning now, but in 2 years, it's going to be half the cost, twice the speed, and take up 40% less factory space in order to do it. And do you think that would be news? That would be headline news. Now, sure, for Tesla, sometimes these things start to be like, oh, Tesla's done it again. Wow. Oh, they launched another rocket yesterday. Oh, and another one today. Wow. Oh, this one had people on it taking it up to the International Space Station. Oh, I see. So, yes, it can become like, oh, Tesla's done it again. But this was not normal incremental news. This was showing us in detail the pieces that are necessary in order to get to the aspiration, and showing you that the engineering is already done. So, did you know that the engineering was done on Tuesday? Did you know all those engineering pieces that they showed us on Tuesday? Did you know that they were going to be able to do all those changes in terms of the amount of raw earth materials, in terms of the way they were going to build the drivetrain, in terms of the cost of the drivetrain being only $1,000? I mean, did you know any of these on Tuesday? No, you didn't know any of them. But if you did, put it in the comment below, but show me some proof. Show me something. Show me a video that somebody else said this prior to the day, a news release, something that you wrote on your blog or on your YouTube video. Show me. I don't believe you. And I think you didn't know it before Tuesday. And I think it's earth-shattering. I think it's massive news that Tesla is going to be able to make a car for half the price, and that they showed us in detail how. Okay, number three, Tesla will cookie cutter the Lathrop factory. Now, I've believed that to be true for a long time. I've said in multiple videos, they will either dramatically expand Lathrop to be able to do much more than 40 gigawatt hours, that they will, or that they will cookie cutter it. They will start building other Lathrops elsewhere. But that was all speculation based on the fact that Elon said he wanted to do $1 trillion worth of energy storage as fast as possible, pedal to the metal as fast as possible. Well, they confirmed that multiple times yesterday. They are on it with regard to energy storage. They're going to build as much energy storage as fast as they can, not 2030, could be way before 2030 that they get to 1 terawatt hour. But what they did say specifically is we are going to start building more factories like Lathrop. And that was very specific, and that is news. And it is huge news because you've heard me say it before, if you follow me, every Lathrop is at least 50, maybe 75, maybe even as big in profit as one first phase Austin or one first phase Berlin. It's as big as half of what's going to happen in Mexico. So that's big news, even if they build just one more. And they didn't say one more. They said they're going to cookie cutter. So that's a lot of profit. That's a lot of volume. It's huge. It's big, big news. And if you knew it the day before, please show me your resource. Please show me that you said it. Please even have your wife or your husband send me a note and say, yeah, you know, they said the day before, 2 weeks ago, they were talking about how they know for a fact, you knew for a fact that Lathrop was going to build another factory as soon as possible. All right, or a Lathrop type factory. Okay, number 4, Tesla will be using a completely different approach to auto assembly. This will be the first major change in the way cars are made since Henry Ford came up with the assembly line. So no longer made an assembly line, no longer going into paint first, no longer no longer in a long straight line. No, you saw the pictures, you saw the visual where they're pulling it together from the different directions, and where you have the operators, the humans are the robots. That would be actually, I forgot that one, but they're designing the next factory. The factory in Mexico will be designed around Optimus working in the factory. They said this. So that's part of it, but part of it is just the way they do it in these cells and the way they're going to come together, and where the individual parts will be painted in advance, and maybe no paint. So they may be talking about something other than paint. Maybe it's going to be plastic, maybe it's going to be more stainless steel, but there was a definite suggestion that paint is expensive, and therefore maybe we're not looking at paint. So major change in the way they're going to make automobiles. They showed us in detail how that's going to happen. That is news. It's huge. It makes a huge difference in terms of the space required, in terms of the number of laborers required, in terms of the number of robots required, in terms of everything. So that was big news. Did you know that the day before? Did you have some clue? Did you know that they were going to completely rearrange the way they made cars? Please let me know in the comments. Maybe you did. So when you were watching that, you were going, oh yeah, no, that's boring. I knew that. Okay, if you say so. All right, number 5. The Mexico factory will be in the initial location for making the Gen 3 platform, and that facility will be as large as Austin, or maybe double the size of Austin. You knew that. Well, first of all, we've been hearing speculation about the factory in Mexico for the last month, roughly. I mean, it's been longer than that, but in detail, the president and various ambassadors have come out and said, oh, it's going to be in this location, or it's going to be down by the airport, or it's, it's going to happen, but we're still in negotiation, and maybe it's going to happen, maybe it's not. Well, we have that about Indonesia. We have that about South Korea. We have that about Japan. We have that about Canada. We have a lot of different places that there's speculation and various people from these countries coming out and saying that the negotiations are moving and it's going to happen, especially Indonesia and Canada. So you knew, though, that it was going to be Mexico. And you knew that it was going to be a full-on gigafactory. In fact, from the renderings, it looks like it might be twice as large as Austin. You knew this. You saw those renderings ahead of time. You just didn't tell anybody about it. You knew about it, and it didn't shock you when you saw the renderings that it was so large. And you weren't surprised at all that the 3rd generation product will be made in Mexico. You knew this, even though there's been a lot of speculation that the 3rd generation product would first be made in Shanghai. But you knew this, and so you just sat there and went, oh, yeah, just okay, whatever you say. Okay, well, prove it to me, please, in the comments. Show me that you knew that ahead of time. So I think it's pretty remarkable that maybe the largest factory in the world, certainly the largest EV factory in the world, but probably and the largest automotive factory in the world, but probably the largest factory in the world is going to be made in Mexico. And that it will be only slightly larger than the 2nd and 3rd and 4th largest automotive factories in the world, which are all owned by Tesla. And the most productive one is still in Fremont. Or at least in the United States. I guess maybe Shanghai is more productive than Fremont at this point. So you knew all this. You knew about Mexico. You knew about the location. You knew about the size. You knew the 3rd generation vehicle would be started there. And then in addition to that, you knew that all of the factories would be added to over the next years. Well, we'll get to that one, I think. I think that's a separate one on my list. All right. If you knew this, please let me know. Number 6, there were multiple specific huge innovations noted, included the method for wiring going to 24 volt and using new approaches for the connectors throughout the car. The savings were huge in the time, labor, materials, overall cost. And that was just one set of innovations that we were told about. I'm not going to list all of them. I'm sure you could make your own list if you just think for a minute about every single innovation that they showed us and the impact of those innovations. Now, did you know about all of these? I didn't. I spend a lot of time. You probably know I spend a lot of time researching this stuff, and I have other people that I trust that are spending a lot of time researching this stuff, and I didn't know about that new factory, that new method of doing the electrical. I didn't know that they were planning to switch to 24 volt. But maybe you did, and if you did, show me your resources. Please let me know how you knew. I don't want to keep repeating that. I don't think you knew. I think it was brand new, and I'd be shocked if you were sitting there on your couch and not going, "Oh my gosh, look at that." I was. Okay. Number 8, Tesla will spend about $20 billion per year in Capex over the next 7 years. Did you know that? Did you have a clue that that was the number? I mean, they're spending about $8 billion in Capex now, but they're going to average $20 billion a year for the next 7 years. You knew this. This was at the end. Maybe you checked out by then because you were so bored. But at the end, they're like, no, we're going to, in order to get where we want to go, we have to spend $20 billion on average per year. They didn't say it that way. They said, we're going to spend about $140 billion over the next 7 years, which turns out to be $20 billion a year. So they're going to more than double their Capex spending. That would suggest to me that the Mexico factory, and there has been some speculation that the Mexico factory is only one of 2 brand new gigafactories that they're going to do. Now, remember, they're also going to expand, number 9, every factory. So that's part of your Capex right there. So every factory will be expanded, including Shanghai. Please tell me that you knew that before Investor Day, because a lot of folks out there were very worried that Shanghai was done. The Chinese government was all mad at Tesla, all these rumors that, Shanghai was not going to expand anymore because the Chinese don't like Tesla anymore. Well, guess what? Very specific, out of Elon Musk's own mouth, all factories will be expanded going forward. So you knew this. You knew this before Investor Day. I don't think so. So that is, in addition to the fact of Mexico, in addition to the fact of Reno, the announcement from a few weeks ago, in addition to the fact that the Lathrop is going to be cookie cuttered, in addition to a couple of factories buildings that we're not even sure what they're for, like the one in Houston with 1 million square feet. So a lot of stuff going on, and probably based on other statements that were made, and another announcement for a full-on Gigafactory should be coming out very soon. My best guess, Indonesia. I'm completely speculating on that. Okay, number 10, a new cathode facility in Corpus Christi. That was news. Was that not news? You didn't know that. That was completely out of the blue. Nobody knew they're going to have a second building in Corpus Christi next to the refining plant that they're putting in there. I think we all speculated that, I think before the Investor Day, we kind of knew that maybe they were going to start spitting out material, refined material by April, May of next year. That was confirmed. And I think it might have been a little faster than anybody expected. I think, in fact, if I remember right, they were saying 2 years, and now they're saying a little over a year before they're going to be making cathode material making the refined lithium in Corpus Christi. That will be, it's just huge, because so many people were saying it'll take 5 years for the normal plant to be able to provide, final refined material. All right. Number 11. Optimus did useful work. Now, I put this last because it's my hobby horse or my hobby robot. Ladies and gentlemen, friends of the channel, Patreon folks that are supporting me on Patreon, you were not expecting to see Optimus do useful work. Well, some of you might have been. I did a poll and 50% of the people seem to think that there are already Optimus robots around the factory doing useful work. 50% said no. I've been saying for months and months, this is another area where I've been in the lead. If you want to know why you watch this channel, I hope it's because we're not just reporting news. We are providing you with serious expectations about what's going to happen based on what Elon and others at Tesla have said. And what almost have to be true. And what has to be true is that Tesla is making robots as fast as they can. Elon wants it. It's a high priority. It's something that is in his mind all day long. He loves the robot and he wants the robot to be successful as fast as possible. They are already planning to use it in the Mexico plant. I'm sure they're already using it in plants right now. I'm going to guess they have 25, maybe 50, maybe 100 of these Optimus robots around various locations right now doing useful work. But you saw it doing useful work. There was an entire video put out this morning. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to go take a look at the video with Dr. John Gibbs, with Dr. Scott Walter, and with Dr. Randy Kirk, the three doctors. You need to go look and watch that video to see exactly how far we are along on Optimus. It is the biggest news of everything I just gave you, because Optimus robot will change the world more than anything that was on that list. The Optimus robot is going to change everything. And it's coming really, really fast. All right. So what else? Please add to my list. What did I miss? What else was headline news any other time? If it had been done as a standalone, and they'd done it with, a great presenter or somebody come out like a Steve Jobs and done a phenomenal job of presenting, and it would have been bigger news, right? That's what we're trying to say. Or just let me know in the comments that you knew any one of those 11 things. Absolutely knew any one of those 11 things. I speculated on a couple of them. I certainly speculated that Optimus was doing useful work, but we saw Optimus doing useful work. That is news, okay? Not little news, big news. So please please join my Patreon. Please help me invest in that new news idea that I talked about in my YouTube video the other day. You'll want to be a part of it. You'll want your name on the founders list, because later on, people are going to go, oh my gosh, those people were part of the founders list that helped this important news facility become a reality. So join up, sign up, subscribe, like, do all the things you know what to do. And it's been great talking to you today.